Ah ha ha ha. Y'all already know what this is for, boy. It's the AHA podcast. Your boy Tankhead is in the building. We about to bring the smoke, man. You already know. We gonna sit back for a minute, man. You know what I mean? Get into the preliminaries, man, until we see some numbers build. But if we don't, we gonna go with the flow because you already know the show must and will go on. So what's happening, y'all? You already know. Happy Sunday to y'all. You know what I mean? The law raised us. We here. You know what I'm talking about? Another day for us to be able to go into life and, accomplish today what we weren't able to accomplish yesterday. The sky is never the limit to those who believe in themselves. You know what I mean? When you believe in yourself, not even the sky is the limit. You know what I mean? There are no parameters. There are no restrictions when you believe in yourself while on the road to success. There ain't no shortcuts to success. So whatever you put in is what you gonna get out. I'm quite sure a bunch of people feel like, wow, man, that's easy for him to say, I done been doing this and I done been doing that and ain't nothing coming out right for me, man. You understand what I'm saying? And I definitely can identify with that because it was, you know, many a times in my life when I found myself in that predicament. You understand what I'm saying? But from experience, one thing that I always did, I stuck to the script. You understand what I'm saying? I ain't never let, me not succeeding in the moment, you know, dampen my spirit, towards succeeding. If that, fits in together. You know what I mean? No matter what I went through in life, I never allowed the circumstance or the, heaviness or the gravity of the circumstance to put me in a way where I stopped believing in myself. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's what I impart to you, man. No matter what the predicament that you might be going through in life, you know, reach somewhere inside, man. You know what I mean? And pull that out. Pull that spirit out. Pull that energy out, if you will. You see what I'm saying? And let it work for you. Let it work for you by making it work for you. How do you make it work for you? You come up with a plan. You see what I'm saying? You got to have a plan. You have to figure out a way to devise a plan. Because with a plan, you have something to step out on, and then you have something to effectuate. You understand what I'm saying? Without stepping out on a solid, platform, your square solid, and you ain't got nothing to strive toward, might be the reason why you find yourselves inside the predicaments that you find yourselves in where nothing seems to be going right for you. You see what I'm saying? Just because it don't seem like it's going right doesn't mean that you should, believe that you can't make it go right. Yeah, you can make it go right. You can. God, Allah, has given us all the will. We look at people accomplishments in life and they're regular people just like you and me, but they've accomplished things because they made it happen. And so that's what I'm saying to you, man. You got to make things happen if you want things to happen. You understand what I'm saying? If you don't want nothing to happen, nothing is going to happen. A lot of people tell me, yo, Tank, man, I commend you, man, for the way how you came home, man. You know what I mean? And you just start dusting dudes, man, that ain't never been nowhere. And I accept the accomplishments. I mean, the accolade, yeah. I accept the accomplishments too because I made them and I'm a gloat about them because I did it. But what I'm saying is that I accept the accolades, but in the reality of what's being imparted to me and in my understanding of it, I'm saying this. Before I left, I was a leader. Before I left, I was passing a bunch of dudes. You see what I'm saying? So when I came back, like the people that know me, what did you expect of me? Right? And truthfully speaking, I ain't even did nothing yet. You understand what I'm saying? Because vast is the imagination, man. And unrelenting is the impetus that I have behind me and within me to make me know that it's still more to do. You understand? This wasn't no cakewalk. This wasn't no walk in no park. 26 years in the penitentiary under any circumstances, I wouldn't give a fuck where it's at. It's gonna be serious. You understand what I'm talking about? Straight like that. Nah, don't be sorry, my brother. We gonna be real. We gonna speak to life as it is. You understand what I'm saying? And still be able to pull from it and make it do what we want it to do. You understand what I'm saying? That's how I stepped into this. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's imperative that we become conscious, man, inside the times in which we are living today, man. You know what I mean? We looking at the things that's going on. I don't know how the hood feel about it. Hopefully I could be able to impart some PE to the hood so that this way we could be on the same wavelength of consciousness, if you will. You understand what I'm saying? But I don't know what we paying attention to, man, with regard to, you know, the times in which we live, because we right now watching a joker, you understand what I'm saying, take the law into his own hands and do whatever he want to do with it. Whatever he want to do with it. You understand what I'm saying? It don't matter who a dude voted for. It don't. The reality of what's going on right now. You understand what I'm saying? The dude Donald Trump, man, I'm telling you, man, he's making a mockery of electoral politics, and he is making a mockery out of the federal republic for which this nation stands. There ain't no patriot over here. I got knowledge of self, so I know what I'm talking about. You understand what I'm saying? And so what I'm saying, when we see what he did, because they'll be like, yo, but yo, this dude here, you know what I'm saying, voted for him, or whatever the case may be. Yeah, I casted my vote for him, right? But with a given expectation. You understand what I'm saying? The given expectation was to see the Joker for who he was, if you will, right? It's like a stratagem inside a chess game. You understand what I'm talking about? Like, you allow a move to develop in order for another move to, you know, come into your sighting so that you could be able to execute. You understand what I'm saying? America is everything that Donald Trump does. That's just a fact. America is everything that Donald Trump does. You know, we sitting here, you know, looking at him blowing up the boats over there inside the Caribbean Sea, coming up out of Venezuela. They done flipped and made a turn and, you know, made some shit called narco-terrorism. What is that? What is that? Narco-terrorism? Where they just putting a veil over what's actually being done, right? Them dudes want that oil over there. Whatever. But politics is what politics does. You understand what I'm saying? So when we voted with this given intention or this given expectation, right? I constructed that. This given expectation, we wanted the Joker to expose his hand. You understand what I'm saying? So that the rest of you can come into the clear view and see what the hell's going on inside this country. Divided we stand. You know? Making all these, you know, rules and laws about people coming over into the border. How do you think the forefathers of this country got here? Huh? They were England's incorrigibles. Were they not? They were England's garbage, right? Sent off into another world that they didn't believe in, that they didn't believe was going to prosper into what we see today, right? Criminals, crooks, rapists, right? Like our commander-in-chief in the office today. We gonna call it for what it is. Them Epstein files come out, kid, don't be surprised, because it been going on. That's how come he trying to throw the strobe light on Clinton and them boys now, and JP Morgan and them dudes now. You understand what I'm saying? Because he need that distraction. Okay, well, fuck it. Like Wesley Snipes' character did in New Jack City. You take me down, everybody coming with me. You know, because these are the times in which we live. Get somebody mad, the first thing they do is come on social media and expose all their business about you, right? Say the most wickedest and the most vilest things about you, right? And so we got the president, the sitting president that we actually deserve. You know? We were mad in the beginning, or many were mad in the beginning, not me because I ain't vote for her, but many were mad in the beginning when Kamala Harris didn't get, you understand what I'm saying, the champion seat over this joker, right? Mad, upset, right? But really, truthfully, ask yourself, would you want to see that woman and the place that this man stands in today? Huh? Now, it may not have been in the way that we see him doing it today had she had the mic in her hand. You understand what I'm saying? But politics is dirty. Politics are dirty. You understand what I'm saying? No, I don't agree with the way they shut down the government, but they did it. They did it. And we sat back and accepted it and found ways to bicker among ourselves because of it and about it. You know, you get people up here all in airs. Oh, you people on welfare, get out of here, go work. I'm a working man and I want welfare. Why not? If I pay a tax toward any type of institution, where is my refund? Where is my rebate? You see what I'm saying? You know, long has been the time, man, that we've been in our community, man, you know, just walking around, not conscious to anything. You know, it was an idiom that said something to the effect that in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And we see it today. You understand what I'm saying? We see it today. I'm watching YouTube earlier, man. They got the dude 6ix9ine up there giving advice with Whack 100 in the background on the mobile, like, you know what I mean? They handling business. And then you got a cat like Charleston White. He want to come to the community, get on the airwaves and talk about right and wrong, right? And then turn around and disrespect babies, homie. Right? So, of course, we got a sitting president like Donald Trump. Why not? Look at the culture. Look at the culture. The culture needs a purge. If not, it's only going to get more deeper and more worse. You know, bringing the baby into existence today, man, you people got a lot of fucking nerve, man. You know, selfishness, it really borders upon, because we only want to have these kids to enjoy them and our way of having them and being able to keep them, right? But looking at the reality and the conditions of this society, why would you want to bring an innocent child into such bullshit, man? You understand what I'm saying? But we tread in this way because we lack knowledge, man. We tread in this way because we are distracted by bullshit. You know? I was watching a joint the other day, man, and they had the sister up there, Jasmine Crockett, man. You know, she give it up. I respect her. I mean, she might be a little bit different. She might bring in a different look and a different spill to what formal and electoral politics look like, right? But she's only, you know, subculturing the dominance of the main culture. And so what I mean by that? And so what I'm saying is if she's taking something from a European designer, she putting a black spin on it, right? She's subculturizing it. She making it in her way. So don't, you know, because I done heard dudes up here, you know, trying to shoot at the sister. I took a little shot, but I ain't take it in a way where to, like, you know what I mean, clip her wings from flying, because she's definitely intelligent. You see what I'm saying? Smart and educated. She's all three, because all three don't mean the same. You understand what I'm saying? But don't go at the sister because of the regalia that she presents herself in. Yeah, the shaitan promised to deceive us where we perceive him not. And the best place to ever deceive a people is from among a people. We get that. You understand what I'm saying? But hearken and listen to the message. You see what I'm saying? Because even if she ain't getting nothing done, that's what I said about her. But even if she ain't getting nothing done, she making enough noise for people who do know how to get shit done to pay attention to and scratch their chin and go, let's see what the sister talking about. You understand what I'm saying? We might could be able to make a move. You see what I'm saying? But just her alone ringing her alarm, you see what I'm saying, should garner enough attention to pay attention, right? Because the game that they playing today right now with politics, y'all, it is affecting us. You know, people are quick to say how, yo, you know, we don't get into politics and that ain't got nothing to do with us. That's rich people. Yeah, it's rich people making decisions for poor people. How? That's like poor people making decisions for rich people. How? A poor person doesn't understand the dynamic and the things of how rich people live, right? Any more than a rich person, can speak to the state of affairs of a poor person. You understand? Saying when we seen what they just now did with SNAP benefits and not paying these federal employees and TSA was shut down, there was something the people could do. The people could have shut the country down and said, we ain't working. We ain't spending. Just in that act right there alone, man, that would have made Congress wanted to come back to the chamber, relent, and talk. Right? But they figured out a way to put a Band-Aid over a gunshot wound. And we all went with it. Distracted by beefing with each other over the bullshit. The bullshit that really rolled downhill on all of us. Look at how they got the people divided, man. And you wonder why we can't advance forward. Right? We speaking about a democracy. This ain't that. This ain't that, y'all. You know, the Democrats had just the amount of power as the Republicans to prevent that shutdown from happening. They did. And this ain't about picking or throwing on a party, because I could care less. Like I said, my position has always been, like Malcolm says, it's like running from the clutches of the fox into the jaws of the wolf. So there is no difference between the two. You understand what I'm saying? But look at how the politics and the politics are played upon the people who are unsuspecting, and we sit here and get caught up in the muck and the mire of this bullshit. Look for ways to try and blame each other for it. You know, social media was rife with nothing but disrespectful things to say about people who were crestfallen because of the shutdown of the government. Homie, that's not what you do. You see what I'm saying? Because if it truly takes a village, man, then one of us ain't supposed to be happy if all of us ain't happy. That's what I was saying about when they was like, yo, the Democrats had got paid. And my whole thing was, well, especially them, because they were the one that was spinning the tail saying that the Republicans, you know, was doing this during the month of all these upcoming holidays, and they don't care about women and babies and this, that, and the third. So my whole thing in a nutshell was, if that's how they really felt, then how come they didn't forego their paychecks, right? When they came with the paychecks, how come the Democrats didn't say, nah, chill, we don't want that. We don't want that until federal workers, you know, get their paychecks first, right? And then the people get their benefits, right? Because we are here to represent the people. I didn't hear none of them say that on either side of the divide. You understand what I'm saying? So when we looking at that, we must see it for what it is. They playing politics and all the shit is rolling downhill. You know, good thing that the states found the way, you know what I mean, and Trump relented, because my whole thing is when you playing chicken with a fool, you already know what to expect. When you playing chicken with a fool, you already know what to expect. You better know what to expect, or you shouldn't be out there playing chicken with the fool, right? And so even when Michelle Obama came with the mantra about when they go low, we go high, you understand saying, even in that regard to the Democratic Party, that was your time. That was your move. When they went low, y'all was supposed to went high. But instead, when they went low, y'all backed up and said, yo, look what they doing, y'all. Yo, look, see, I told y'all. But y'all didn't reach for the people to try and pull them up out of the bullshit. You understand what I'm saying? So there is no difference between the two when we talking about who deserves the boo-hoo. I got you with that one. But that's what they deserve. The whole of Congress deserves the boo-hoo with that. Because you had people in dire straits. You know, they was reporting on the news like within the days of that happening. Dudes riding around out here in the city on a moped, sticking dudes up for jewelry. You understand? Yo, anytime you see motherfuckers snatching purses and sticking people up for jewelry, that mean they hungry. That mean they are starving, right? You want to find the state of a people? Go look at its vices. These jokers out here robbing. That mean they hungry. You understand saying? And both the Democrats and the Republicans sat there and allowed that to happen. You know, thankfully, man, like I was saying, the states was able to figure out a way to get these people their stipend where it could, you know, temper it a little bit. You understand saying? But in the reality of it all, this should have been a demonstration to you all. Get hip to politics. You have to. Because politics is involved in each and everything that goes on in your life and in this life. I'm even talking about to the water you drink, to the clothes you wear. You know, since our community is so all up in arms with, you know, materialism. Yes, even with the clothes you wear, politics is involved. You know, politics is involved. It's sad that, you know, it takes us, you understand what I'm saying, you know, a tragedy to go through in order to become, you know, at least interested enough to be educated. You understand what I'm saying? But with education, you will be able to have a beacon, right? A beacon of light that can illuminate thought whenever you find yourselves inside these corners of darkness. You know, this is real spit right here. What's going on in politics today is affecting us all. You know, I hate turning on the news and seeing folks being blown up, man, without due process. You know, they could just be telling us anything. I remember when they had Colin Powell out here looking like a joker, man, with all these slides and folders talking about what they was doing over there in Iran and Iraq and this, that, and the third. They went over there under the pretense of regime change because these dudes developing a nuclear bomb. And in all reality, all that shit was Hollywood. All of that was bullshit. Smoke and mirrors. No different than what we seeing going on in the NBA today. The rest is cheating. The players is cheating. Cheating, cold, flat out cheating. And they still allowing these betting enterprises to exist. None of them shit's been suspended. You understand what I'm saying? They playing smoke and mirrors right in our faces, man. And those that aren't educated don't see it as such. And when you bring it to those who aren't educated, they look at you like you crazy. They look at you like you crazy. But how am I crazy? Because I'm giving you, you know, direction towards some information, man, that will give you enlightenment like never before. This ain't no hocus pocus stuff. There ain't no Jesus. This ain't got nothing to do with religion. None of that. You understand what I'm saying? We sitting here watching this ICE run around snatching women out of their cars, bruh. They snatched a woman out of her car going to work. The lady got her citizenship. They snatched this woman dead smack out of her car. That's not due process. And if it is, we the people should have something to say about that. We don't want our public servants, those who our tax dollars employ, to be out there running around like they some type of vigilante group or like they some type of Gestapo from years ago with Hitler and all them dudes. We don't want that because that's not democracy. That's hypocrisy, right? Hypocrisy based on an autocracy, right? Dictatorship. We don't want no kings in here. Remember, in the pledge of a federal republic, we the people pledge our consent for those that we send in front of us to lead for us. We don't send them there that they start making all these decisions that we don't know nothing about, we do not agree with. And then when we do learn about it and then we find out what's going on, we sit back and act like we can't do nothing. What can we do? You got to get into your local and community politics. At least start there. At least start there. That's where Hakeem Jeffries started from. Look what it do that now in D.C., right? We already know that this is a dirty game, but you got two choices. You're going to have a seat at the table or you're going to be on the menu. You choose. I'd rather have a seat at that table. Let me look at them cards. Let me play them cards. I might be able to pull a rabbit out of a hat. You understand what I'm saying? But just giving up or turning a blind eye to it. I hear people and I listen to them with aplomb. With aplomb. Right? With aplomb. Yo, I don't watch the news. I got my own problem. I don't even watch the news. How can you not watch the news? I understand you got your own problems. But if you are in a way where you could be able to keep up with current events, why don't you? Why won't you? The question is always, suppose they saying they got a serial killer right outside your building in your community, running around. He wearing this, that, the third. You go downstairs, hold the door for the Joker. He's saying thank you. You turn around to receive the greeting and now your shit gone. Blown off because you wasn't paying attention. Nah, man, gone should be those days, especially with all this modern day technology we got out here. But they keep us distracted with the bullshit. You understand? Saying they would rather tell you that Mamdani is a Muslim instead of Mamdani having a real viable and workable strategy, you know what I mean, that he want to put into effect that will quell the problems and the ills and the pangs of affordable living. Right? But they would rather go to his religion. Again, keeping us, distracted and divided in this trick bag. Right? So what, he's a Muslim? Eric Adams was a Christian. Read their books. Both of them shits is bloody. So, like, what are we doing? Splitting hairs for what? You see? And racism, man. I mean, racism is going to be what racism is in this society, man. Racism today is really played on a level of classism, because real racists and those who have that, ideology and understanding of globalization, they don't care too much about color anymore as they do about class, right? Because the majority of the world is people of color. That's just a fact. The Caucasian European, they're the minority in the world. But the majority of the world got color in their skin, got that melanin. You understand the saying? And so the powers that be, we got to give them their just due, their props. Them dudes are sharp. And they understand that, being able to get in the door, you might have to switch up a face. And so that's how they get into here. And they program and indoctrinate here. And so though you can have somebody that look like me, but they indoctrinated them here. And so his agenda is their agenda because their agenda becomes his. And that's how you globalize. You understand? So racism today, those are for short-sighted people. Because he don't like me because I'm black. Or them crackers because man, I'm white. That shit is short-sighted view today. Most racists that base or move on a trajectory of that level are really the uneducated ones. Those the ones that, like the little dirty ones, little dirty white boys, dirty white shit. They ain't got nothing. They hate black people. They on welfare, everything. That's them. You understand what I'm saying? But the more common, the more modernization of racism today bears the face of classism. You know what I mean? What you got? You know what I mean? What your credit score about? You understand what I'm saying? And so once those people come into the meeting room, their dynamic shifts, right? It doesn't necessarily change as much as it shifts because it can't change. The name of the game is still people control, dominance, complete dominance. That's the name of the game. That's what every nation has strove toward doing. Every nation. The more powerful nations become, the more they want to capture and control. That's the way it goes. You understand what I'm saying? In our time, our country is leading the charge. Unfortunately, a lot of these things, the atrocious things that are being done in our name, we have no knowledge about because in the community that many of us come from, we are not even aware. We only become aware of politics when elections are come about. You know what I mean? Throughout the course of the whole years when they making deals and cutting budgets and sending this and doing that and doing this and doing that, then putting our stamp in it, the American people or the people of the United States, people of the state of New York. Once they start doing things like that, you must feel alarmed to try and become aware of what's going on. If not, then like we going through right now. When these dudes talked about cutting off SNAP, it was an upheaval in our communities. An upheaval. People didn't know what to do next. Where there was always something to do next. You understand what I'm saying? So we must become, more educated, man, more conscious about what's going on in our communities, especially as it relates to politics, man. Because politics has everything to do in and out of our communities, man. We see the brother Max B come home. Right? Politics is involved with that. You understand saying whether it was the law or not. Welcome home to the brother too, man, because 16 years in the can or 18 years, whatever he did, that's 16 or 18 years in the can. And I already know what that shit is because I walked 26 some years down. Straight like that. You understand saying? And like I said, it was not no cakewalk. So I commend the brother for keeping himself intact. Not so much everything else that we see on the brother, but more so his scruples, man, to be able to come out of that sejin, to come out of that experience and still intact, because a lot of us just don't make it back. You understand what I'm saying? But even with regard to that, looking at the politics, right? This man had to do 16 years for conspiracy that disgruntled woman that was in his life felt, right? And so she made a statement against him and she brought him all the way down. And he did 16 years, right? Out of whatever, 75 years, whatever they said, he got a sentence reduction, whatever. But now we look at hurting it back, because I'm always tied in the bow. If you know, you know. Hurting it back. Look at Trump with the Ghislaine Maxwell, right? She was the Jeff Epstein's bottom broad, right? She's in a medium. I'm a minimum. Excuse me. She's in a minimum secure facility with 20 years. Anybody that was in the penitentiary already know what I mean by that. How you go to a medium with, a minimum with 20 years? How? I'll wait. How? You understand? So what we see, all these are rich people, they can do it. But why? And you applaud this country as being a democracy. Right? You pay your taxes. Why your cousin can't go to a minimum with 20 years? Why not? He your cousin. Trump doing all this in our name, y'all, and don't none of us care about it. Don't none of us, we care, but then we revert back to the thing, what can I do? Get educated, then get involved, right? We ain't talking about flipping the script. We ain't never doing that. Feds is watching. We ain't never doing that, right? But get educated and get involved. Get into local community politics. I reiterate that, right? Get on those community boards, man, so when these people were bringing in, buildings into your communities and you like where these people come from, if you was on those community boards, you would know where they come from and you would know how they got the ability to came from where they came from to get to where they going, which is in our communities. So that this way you could at least try and be the spook that sat by the door and bring some of that information back home, so now we could be able to come educated from it and start practicing those same type of things. It's always something to do. You understand? Saying no matter what you might be faced with in life, there's always something to do. You got to figure out a way how to reach within and pull that spirit back out. Mine is a tenacious one. Know that. Know that. I done seen it in so many different facets, man. You know what I mean? Me and my crimey like to say how, we on borrowed time, man. You understand what I'm talking about? But I don't really like to subscribe to that so much because this is a lost cutter, you know what I mean? And so man may plan, but Allah is the best of planners. That's what I believe in my heart. You understand what I'm saying? But the travail that we took and the shit that, was exposed to us, man, it's a blessing for us to be able to sit here today and speak to you about it. You understand what I'm saying? And because wisdom, has given me that sense of perception, because that's what I see through the prism of wisdom. From having gone through the experience and then being able to earn the wisdom that came with it, right? But seeing through the prism of wisdom, man, you understand? Saying this is what I'm imparting. We must become educated, because education is freeing. It's liberating. Not only is it informing, it's liberating, right? It could take you places in your mind that you ain't never even think of. Why? Because you had nothing as an impetus to propel you in that way to think that way. Right? And so for too long, man, yeah, you can still keep your swag. You can still talk shit and all that. But if you're going to talk shit, at least talk shit about what you know. Right? I just seen, I have to say it. I posted it the other day. The guy Freeway Ricky Ross, the original one, whoever he supposed to be. I don't really know too much about his story. So, I'm starting to take the practice of getting away from that. If I didn't read it myself, if I didn't have a conversation myself with this person who's being accused of a thing, I'ma just stay away from this, but my man said, home team official, he wouldn't say nothing like that if it's real. I stay away from those gray areas, man, because every man has his own thoughts, man, and we don't know the intentions and the thoughts of men. You see, experience taught me that again, so wisdom prevails. I don't get caught up in that no more. You understand? Saying nevertheless, man, we have to remain, cognizant to the fact, man, that, you know, things are played upon our community in ways that we don't perceive them in. And that's the most alarming thing, man. Because we might be thinking that somebody coming to us, man, with really something, prosperous and something beneficial to offer, man. And that thing might be a curse in disguise. But when you become educated, man, you know what to look for, man. You know what I mean? It just comes with a spidey feeling, man. Like it comes, my spidey senses is tingling. You understand? Saying no, not paranoia. We ain't talking about that. We talking about being educated and taking, a given view, if you will. You understand? Saying to the things that are going on, and a lot are going on, y'all. It's affecting us in a way, that I sit back and I think and I say, how I'm gonna put a spill together to be able to come to the people, you see what I'm saying, and share with them in sentiment, you know what I mean, how imminent, it is in this time for them to become educated. I was just speaking to a post again, how Mark Zuckerberg and them dudes on Facebook will allow the sisters to get up there. This is all politics and prostitute themselves, man. But yet will castigate a brother for speaking against that. They letting advertisers, right? Advertise to you pornography, right? And then when you repost it, all of this is politics. It's on a smaller level, but it's in the culture so deep that in each and everything that we engage in, we infected by it. Affected by it. If a sister not rapping a day in these record companies or whatever, even if she go independent, if she not rapping about selling herself in some kind of way, she ain't gonna sell. What's that about? And how all of a sudden we just cool with that? All right, if she want to sell it, go ahead. She promoting it is where the problem is at, because the shit might sound good. Here we go. Something that might look pleasing. It might sound good, but look at what the message is talking about. And if it ain't nothing wrong with the message, go ahead and let your 10-year-old daughter listen to it. Yeah, I thought so. You understand? Saying something that sounds good, but listen to the message. And so that's not by happenstance. There are politics that go into that. And how it permeates our community and just our community, man. And so I ain't got no time to be sitting here, going back and forth with a bunch of negativity as it relates to the state of affairs that where we are today, man. It's nothing to be negative. I done did that already. I already know what that feel like. Come up in the spot for Dolo, watch me get this whole shit shaking. Wow, and something happened. I did that already. And ain't nothing come from it. Nothing. You understand what I'm talking about? But I ain't never come into the room. Or when I did, it was in the pen, and we really couldn't get nothing then because we ain't had no extensions, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? But I know what it feels like, or I want to know what it feels like to come into the room and say, yo, listen here, man. Here go an idea. Let's get with it. You understand what I'm saying? And then that idea becomes one where now it's relayed. We passing it down through the generations. Why not? That's what they doing. All this smoking million shit going on right now. Donald Trump and his family making billions right now. Oh, with that Bitcoin thing. All this shit going on right now. That Trump family eating crazy. So even if you gonna point to him and go, yo, well, at least he is doing something right. He know how to make money. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to that. And then try and do it. Especially if it's gonna put something in your pocket. You see what I'm saying? But if it's only gonna leave you with a headache, nothing in your stomach, frustrated and angry, you gotta get away from that type of stuff, man, because it ain't doing nothing for you, man. You understand what I'm saying? But yeah, man, like I was saying, man, we have to understand, that in this time that we live in today, man, it's really up to the people, but they keeping us divided, right, in our own idiosyncrasies, right? They keeping idiosyncrasies like your likes and your wants, your tastes and your preferences, right? They keep us divided inside these idiosyncrasies, and through that division, it's easy to control us, man. Here it is right now. We are sitting in a time, man, when technology is just vast, man. It's just all over, right? And they got all type of evidence on this dude, man, based on technology, man. Not only him, man, but they bringing Clinton and all them dudes back in. J.P. Morgan, all of these dudes they trying to bring into this stuff, man. And we can't put past them because these are the games, right, that the rich and powerful engage in, right? People want to have those privileges so that they could be able to sit in these types of activities. That's how come when we was ragging Puffy down, I had so much to say because that's America. That's what this country promotes. That's what it has always sold to us. When you become rich and powerful, you above the law. You can do whatever you want. Trump told us that in his own words. He said he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and get away with it and still became president. Not after that, but before that. When he said when you famous and you got money, you can do whatever you want to a woman. Women ran out and voted for him. Right after he said that. And so these are the times in which we live, man. You understand what I'm saying? The majority of people would rather be distracted with bullshit than to become educated about what's actually going on. And I get it. I get it. The consequence of understanding what's actually going on is you having to look at that nasty shit for what it is and accept that you can't do nothing about it right now. Right? The same gift that Solomon was gifted with, wisdom and understanding. And he used to look at things and be like, yo, I'm not ready in my human form, my human way to understand only what God could. Right? Listen, homie, man, we better get educated, man, because it's at the detriment of not only you, but for the future of those who you care about. Me, I always say, man, I got grandkids, man. You know what I mean? And, I see slut rap doing today what gangster rap did to my generation. You understand what I'm saying? And so, with all these different things going around, we have a sitting president that get press releases using profanity, man. And kids watch press releases. You should want to encourage your children to watch, Nightline or, the Sunday morning political debates. You should want to encourage them to watch that so that they could become educated. You see what I'm saying? But in the times we living in, the decorum is just shot. When you get the sitting president just sit up there using cuss words. And kids watch TV all day. Or they watch their phones, they watching something. They end up making memes and stuff about stuff like that. Right? The sitting president just sit there cussing. His secretary of the press just stand out there, just tell lies. Shit's crazy. Shit's crazy, man. You see this, and with all this going on, man, our distraction is with each other. EBT and, who's wearing designer from China and, you know what I mean? Oh, you think you know everything. I mean, what? Yo, your man go to jail. How many days is it going to take for you to fuck somebody? I mean, seriously. Seriously. And this is the reason how come they scarf at the black community the way that they do, man. I gotta say it. You know what I mean? The reason why black women aren't respected the way they should be. I gotta say it, man. You understand, saying? Because anytime a people see that a people is not for real about themselves, why should they be for real about you, man? Why should they? If when you come around, you the joke, and now you come around today, you serious, ain't nobody jacking that, smack you upside your head, you been the joke. You understand what I'm saying? And so at what point and at what time do we just put our foot down and go, yo, man, enough is enough, man? You know what I mean? We gonna get educated, man. We gonna get active, man. And we gonna make something, man. Because that's how this spill started. You having the ability to make what you will. You see what I'm saying? Taking will by its horns and direct it into the way that you want it to go. You having that ability. Why? Because it's a God-given one. Right? And so when do we find that way? Right? When do we find that way? We go, yo, fuck that bullshit. They was just about snap away from 42 million people. Money that belonged to the people. That's not the government money. That's not money that they made and said, yo, we got this in our pocket and we got y'all back just in case. That's not that. That's money that came from the people. You know, whether it was a tax, whether it was a fine, whether it was a security, whatever it was, that money that they have in their coffers came from the people, man. You understand what I'm saying? And come on, homie, we sat there and found a way to accept that. You see what I'm saying? Have found a way to accept that. Clergy's not being held responsible. Y'all don't know y'all city councilmen and women because you're not a part of your local community board, so you can't hold them accountable. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, come on, like, to what extent? You know, no matter what side of the divide you on, just so long as you know that it's a divide. Yeah, it's better in this country that we don't go to war with one another like other people's do in their countries, you know, bloodshed right there in the street. We understand that. We understand that, and it should be that way. We shouldn't take, you know, prestige for that or, you know, want to be celebrated for that because of who we say we are. We say we are a civilized society, right? And we are a nation governed by laws, right? And so if that be the case, man, then let that be what it is. And opposed to us just sitting and joke up in there, putting on crowns and stuff. Oh, I'm the next king. And we sitting around here caught up in a trick bag worrying about a bunch of other shit. Are you kidding me, man? Imagine how them federal employees felt. Yeah, they gave them $10,000 checks. The ones that showed up for work and wasn't calling out sick and all that, when they opened the government up, they styled on the people. They didn't do that to show that, yo, we are, you know, honoring and commending these people for, you know, outstanding, you know, employeeship. That's not what that was about. That was to gloat and to show off to the other ones who called out sick or to the ones who was ready to quit on government. Yeah, you was ready to jump ship. Now we gonna give all these people $10,000. But even in the spirit of that, that money belonged to the people. It came from the people. And so because they stayed to serve the people, then they were duly rewarded. I agree with that. You understand? Saying don't use it as, you know, a point of pivot to just try to gloat one against the other. That's not what that should be about. You understand? Saying nevertheless, man, that was a commendable thing because the other employees, they were missing out on wages. What about their mortgages? What about their bills? What about them being able to have to feed their family? And I'm just emphasizing this to those who wanted to try and put the spotlight on the ones with SNAP. Oh, they on welfare, they should get a job. What about the people who were working? What about that? What about that? Because they couldn't get paid. You understand what I'm saying? And we as a people watched it, man. We as a people watched it, man. You know what I mean? We got caught up in that Republican Democrat nonsense, man. Democrats ain't do no pushback, man. They was playing chicken with a fool, which to me is boo-hoo on them because if you know this dude is a fool, then you ain't supposed to be even entertaining some of his nonsense. You seen what it was about. Let him get that. Come back and do the other shit y'all doing. Like right now, y'all got 20,000, you know, texts of the Epstein file. Y'all releasing them shits like crazy. Y'all was going to do that anyway. You see what I'm saying? But now it looks like y'all doing that only so that the people could direct their vitriol back to the Republicans for holding this pedophile down. But they already knew from day one what the boy was. They already knew what the Joker was. You know, that's a part of the lifestyle of the rich and famous. Y'all want to be rich and famous? That's the part of the lifestyle of the rich and famous. Puffy put what? Subculturized. I'm going to bring that word up like I used for Jasmine Crockett. He subculturized the move. He put the black spin on it. So instead of little kids and all that shit, he was rubbing nut and all that stupid shit on his chest. This is the American way, people. Get educated or get the fuck out. You already know I lined you up for that one. But it is what it is, though, man. You know, I hope the people have, you know, a blessed and prosperous Sunday. I'm going to leave it right there. You know, I already spoke to what I had to speak to. You know what I mean? Things going on in our community. Us becoming more, you know, politically educated. And not even so much politically educated, but just more educated than what we currently are. You know, life is greater and bigger than social media. You know what I'm saying? Life is greater and bigger than your favorite podcast or your favorite meme. You understand what I'm saying? You got to get out into the reality of life, man. Start, like I said, within your local communities, man. Take back your communities, man. Go outside, man. Let your presence be known. Speak to people. See if you can network. Take back your communities. We talk about how other people come into our communities and take over. It's because they see that we ain't together. That's why they come in here and take over. Bet you ain't even got a thought in your mind going into a community that you know is united. And so for the same perception you see through, so do they. They see what's going on. We watching the landscape. You can't be mad at the Jews because they building everything up in the hood. Pay attention to what they doing. Take a note from their page. You know what I'm saying? Take a note from the story that them dudes is right. Take a page out of their book and put it into application. Make it happen. No matter what you going through in life, man. Sink or swim, win or lose. In the end, it's up to you, homie. What you put in is what you get out. Don't quit at the 11th hour. Right when shit look like it's about to get worse could be a moment when everything about to change and get better. You gotta stay the course. If you ain't, you on the wrong channel. Because I don't know about giving up. I don't know about quitting. I ain't built like that. I ain't stopping till the law say. And I suggest you do the same. But yeah, I'm going to leave it right there. Again, happy Sunday. You know, I hope y'all enjoyed the spill. You know what I mean? Allah willing, I'll be back next Sunday with something for us to be able to chop it up about. We're going to expand the platform, homie. Guaranteed. We're going to expand it. You know what I mean? But right now, I'm putting in this groundwork, man. I'm going to give y'all a glimpse of my point of view. Just a glimpse of it. You see what I'm saying? Because from the perspective I see from, it's deep, homie. You know what I mean? I'm going to leave it right there. YouTube going to write a produce for me. You know what I mean? They just give me some space to have some space so I can show my face, talk my shit to you. Right? Everything here is self-made. Appreciate y'all pulling up, taking the time out of y'all day to pull up on my live. Those who didn't make it, aha. Those who here, aha. And I'm going to leave it right there. Enjoy the rest of your day. One.